everyone, again this is Ella. Do you also sometimes ask yourselves, why does the time fly so fast? We should all remember the feeling of waiting for the bell after school when you were studying. That feeling is extremely long. Or when you think about summer vacation when you were a child, you will feel that it was really long and a happy day. But as we grew older, you will suddenly realize at a certain point in time that this time seems to pass a lot faster, and it will grow with your age. It will be faster than a year, and this feeling is real. But why is this? Could it be that the time experienced by each person is different at different ages? Or this is simply an illusion? Is there any scientific theory that can explain this phenomenon? Why? Because as we age, we will feel that time passes faster and faster. Here's a hypothesis that sounds reasonable, that is, as everyone grows older, then each year in the life you have experienced, the proportion will become smaller and smaller. For example, when you were 10 years old, 1 year was equivalent to 1/10 of your life. But when you're 50 years old, 1 year only accounts for 1/5 of your life. So if it's represented by a chart, it is probably like this. Before you were 6 years old, the proportion reached to 50% of the whole. According to the logic of this statement, that is to say that after you were 6 years old until you die, the length of the time you feel is exactly the same as you feel when you were 0 to 6 years old. Isn't this wrong? This should be a contrary to the feelings of the most of us. There is an experiment similar to a social survey. The subjects are divided into two categories. One is relatively young people under the age of 30, and the other people is over the age of 50, relatively older people. The intention of the classification is also obvious. Look at the difference between the two types of people's perception of time. The method of this experiment is to agree with the subject for a minute, and the subject himself has countless, and there are experimental uses the mobile phone timer to count at the same time, and finally the experimenter finishes it. When it feels like a minute, he stops. And this way, you can accurately understand how the subject's feeling of time are different from the timer. Young people control the time relatively and accurately, and the error value is also very small. The older people do have a huge difference between the 1 minute feeling and the timer. And there are many subjects who stops after about 1 minute and 50 seconds. That is to say, those subjects who stop at about 1 minute and 50 seconds thought that their time was nearly 80% faster than the standard time. The explanation given by the researchers and the neurosciences of this phenomenon is that when people get older, the rate of information transfer between neurons in our brain decreases. You can think of a part of the neurons and the brain as a timer. And when the elderly people timers slow down relative to understand time because of the decline in the rate of information transmission, then the time they feel is really faster. Let's take another example that is not necessarily appropriate. When a person is young, his physical function is normal. It takes 10 minutes to walk to the park closest to his home. Then, when his old legs and feet are inconvenient, it may take 20 minutes or even longer and longer. Then at the same distance, the aging of body functions requires more time to achieve this goal. So from this perspective, the same time but the distance that older people can walk is reduced. So from their perspective, the time and feeling really comes faster. Our perception of time is not like the most direct senses mentioned in the previous issue. It is a fact. Think about it. Our brain and body. There's no specific area or system present in time. Perhaps the concept of time itself is an uncomprehensible thing, but after research, it is found that in fact our perception of time is innate and a very basic function. For example, mice that have been partially removed from the cerebral cortex to execute advanced instructions can still accurately perceive and use animal instincts and do some basic behaviors similar to poisonous birds when foraging. In fact, this means that our ability to perceive time is actually already available at the very early stage, which is considered to be one of the most basic skills. But why do we still feel like the passage of time? It is getting slower and slower. For example, when you watch a YouTube video you like very much, you will feel that time passes very quickly. It felt like a show that was over a while ago. Or when you are on vacation, you will feel that time is passing fast. And it is time to go to work. In fact, everyone may know it. This is because when we focus on one thing, because the brain does not have a fixed area to perceive time, when our brain is fully absorbed in dealing with the thing, the feeling of time passing is ignored to a certain extent, and in this case, we will feel that the time passes quickly. And this phenomenon is also called by the scientists a typical manifestation of flow theory, which will happen when we perform sports such as artistic creations or chess or teamwork or just simply playing a game you like the most. In these scenes, you will feel as time goes by so fast. We think that one of the factors that makes time faster after we grow up is also because we have done more to make us invest globally compared to when we were young. Of course, this also includes some work you have to do. For example, I hate writing manuscripts very much, although I'm peeking at manuscripts now, but I'm really focused on writing manuscripts. One is not paying attention. When you look at your watch, this time has passed 2 or 3 hours already. I didn't even drink a sip of water, to be honest. There's another factor that makes us feel faster, and that is repetition. Next, let's do a quick experiment. And then, everyone will feel the time and each picture appears in front of your eyes. After reading, which picture do you think will stay the longest? Most people think that it was the picture of the cat, but in fact, the stay time of each picture is the same. The reason why you feel that the photo of the cat stayed longer is because it is already relatively a new thing before, and your brain will need to spend a lot of time in the same picture that appears multiple times. To deal with it, the principle can probably refer to an idiom. That is like the new and just like the old. New things always impress us. In addition, for us, how long it feels like something lasts depends on how much energy the brain has allocated. In this matter, scientists have given an age group where the brain consumes the energy in a person's life, which is at the note of 5 years old. In fact, it is quite reasonable to think about it because at that time your brain was still in a learning stage and more information was from outside to inside, so this can be partially explained. Why? Because the younger you feel, the slower the passage of time. So what can we do to make our time slower? Or in a sense, lengthen the time of your own life experience? One study showed that the fear is the most important factor that makes you feel slower. For example, when I was a child, because I was too skinny, I learned to climb up a tree. When I climbed into a certain degree, I would think, how would I go down? Because the height was so scary enough for me at that time. When I was entangled on how to go on, you will feel that time is passing very slowly, and there will be a voice in my brain that I don't know when it will be a safe landing. Even if you finally say not to jump, even the process of rolling down, you think, how can I have landed for so long? Can you end sooner? So that means when you are afraid of something, then the fear will make you feel that time is passing slowly. You can imagine if you're forced to watch cockroaches and give birth to a child for 20 seconds. I'm afraid you will think that these 20 seconds are the longest 20 seconds in your life and are factors that make you feel that time is really slow, including waiting. When you are not focused on anything, that is when you feel very bored, and you'll stay unconscious for only one time. And at this time, your time will be particularly slow. Others such as hunger or the moment you squeeze into the subway or just close the door. You suddenly feel strange about your stomach and you want to release it immediately. These challenges that you think are not good, you endure the extreme things in the environment and will make you feel the slowness of time after time. So, if you want to make your time extremely slow, you can try to add these factors together. For example, if you haven't eaten or drank for a day, take you to the high altitude glass and fridge to watch the birth of all dense, strong babies. And at this time, you have a strong feeling of diarrhea. I think in this extreme case, your second should be multiplied by at least 10 times. So time is slowing down. Usually, it shouldn't be a good thing for us, or at least it makes us uncomfortable. But don't remember what was mentioned in the opening. You have a long and happy summer vacation in your memory. Everything passed quickly, but when our memory recalls that period and we accept the beautiful memories, more fresh things, we will feel that the time was both happy and long. So if you want to live a happy life and long life, you should open as much as possible the pure heart that has been imprisoned by the reality and secularity for a long time. What's your opinion about this? Leave us a comment down below and let's discuss your ideas. Bye!